and the key factors that will be responsible to really take us there. And presently, the president is in Japan, Tokyo, on the Tokyo International Conference on African Development 7, TICAD 7, and is on Yokohama and Africa. Passion for the future. How will Nigeria benefit from that, you may say? Well, we're looking at that in line with the prosperity pursuit for Nigeria. And also this is aspect about Nigeria being indicted over some of people, some Nigerians, 77 in number, that were allegedly reported as being involved in internet fraud. We've been bringing that and seeing how we can change the narrative for Nigeria. Where did we miss it? Is it in our value system or parental guidance? How do we trace ourselves back to a point where we can make Nigeria and Nigerians great again? All right, so discussing this vital truth and topic with me, starting from my immediate left, I have a civil society activist, Solomon Idiogbe. It's been quite a long time.
Yeah, very good morning.
Good to have you join me.
Thank you very much.
And next, I have a public affairs analyst. It's no one else but Roy Oribabo. Roy Oribabo, a.k.a. Voice of the Commoners. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I wish I have a long hand to straightforward. All right, let me extend that. And next, I have an articulate, erudite doctor and also a legal practitioner, Dr. Patrick Awo Osaige. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right, so the president is in Tokyo, and the conference, the summit, will be starting tomorrow. But let's look at the task before the new ministers and the need for us to have an inclusive growth. What do you see as the challenge facing the present crop of ministers?
You know, we all have different thinking and different perception about the appointments being made. For some, it's a welcome development. For some, it's a right peg in a right hole. If you like, it's a square peg in a square hole, or a round peg in a round hole. And while for some, it's the same usual, the bourgeois, if you like, and the same old story, like an old wine in an old keg. That's actually nothing has actually changed. But for those of us who are advocates for young persons, we are not feeling very comfortable because we feel that the larger population of the Nigeria economy, when you talk about percentage of those who contribute to the growth and development of the economy,
A demographic factor.
yes, yeah,
of the
because
youth.
the youths
Yeah.
are totally missing. And then you cannot plan a future where you are not likely to participate. You cannot plan a future for a younger generation. You need them to also be part of the driving force. And the Nigerian youth policies say so, that Nigerian youth must be a part of the driving force of the Nigerian. So that takes me to the issue of the ministerial nominees. If you look at it from left to right, the only person who could say clearly is a young person there is our brother from Delta State. But by and large, many of us have a few reservations because while some will clap and say, well, yes, the likes of Clemagba is also a little bit young. Well, he's a dynamic man, haven't seen his activities while a commissioner in Edo. Well, of course, we can expect something good. But what do we have to say about those who were ministers before that found themselves back in the cabinet? What do we have to say about those who could not pay salaries in their states and today they are being compensated with ministerial position? What do we say about those who are visitors or guests or if you like, those being investigated by the anti-graft agents, where properties belonging to where they once served as governors are being recovered in their houses, and now today they are being compensated with ministerial positions? How do you talk about those who were once in the net of the anti-graft agency with properties being confiscated, and today they are clean and they are in the same government, in quote, talking about anti-corruption? Well, a situation where the anti-graft agency prosecutor is now sitting and dining side by side with an anti-graft suspect. These are all stories and problems we look at in trying to talk about development and expectations from this minister. So, but of course, by and large, whether they are dirty, they are about dirty or being dirty, we must set an agenda for them.
Okay, but by your indices, you seem not to see the light at the end of the tunnel based on the crop of ministers we have.
Maybe that's what it's saying, because if you ask me, I do not know what people like us are trying to make out of a prosecutor and a suspect. You understand? Or once a prosecutor and once a suspect, and now the suspect being the boss of the one-time prosecutor. I don't really see how that smell too good for the development. But however, we must be hopeful. Even in our pessimism, we must be optimistic. The optimism is that we are expecting that there is a change. After all, in the Bible, Jesus turned water to wine. If you confess your sins could be forgiven. And depending on the manner of your confession, whether it's a sincere confession and a sincere repentance. If there's a sincere repentance, then there's optimism. But if there isn't a sincere repentance, then it is pessimism, which only means that it's an avenue only for these persons to further, acquire en masse, and then, if you like, squeeze out of the Nigerian state the very hard-earning patrimony of the collective Nigerians.
Okay, I'll come back to you on that, but let's have your bite on it, Royal Ribabo. Now, in respect of what he just said, what do you see as a paradigm initiative that could change the narrative and the present crop of ministers looking at the challenge of having inclusive economic growth in Nigeria?
To me personally, after a critical evaluation of all the ministers, I came to a humble conclusion that the president have acted within his resources in terms of influence, in terms of command. Then quite very fundamentally, it's a thing of joy to me that somebody like the minister, the former minister of power, Fashola, that portfolio was taken away from me. I think that is one of my best takeaway from this government.
You see that as a right development?
Of course, because to me, the president showed that capacity, showed that commitment, because some of us, we have been on the street against the lack of performance.
Okay, but don't you think the lack of performance, as you say, could be as a result of one minister manning the three portfolios, which presently power has been bundled away from the Ministry of Works and Housing?
Even the art of governance is not a rocket science. Even taking care of a 10-minute position, you are in 10 minutes. Those are, to me, it's not a rocket science. You look at files, you implement. It is not a farm where you have to, the crude way of farming, where you have to hold collapse at home. It's a process. There are persons who walk around you. You are only the boss who should pretend over it. On the strength of that, I salute the disposition of the president for listening to us. Removing that portfolio from Buhari, I think is one of the greatest achievements of this administration. It's an indication that the president actually listened to our clan and yani.
Removing the portfolio from
Fashola, that he performed woefully in that. The performance was below standard.
By your assessment?
By my assessment, the standard of the Nigeria people, the records are there. You can verify it. On the strength of that, I think the president performed well. But if you are to look also the issue, I'm not also very comfortable with the president. The minister of finance, budget and planning. There's also another one attached to that office again. That will not give investors confidence, because we are talking about planning for a nation. We are talking of the finance of the nation.
Okay, but in this regard, when you say that it may not give investors confidence,
yeah,
are you talking from an expert point of view?
Definitely. I mean,
from a layman's point of view?
It is not a layman.
Because last time I checked, you were not an economic expert.
Elementary economy can even give you a direction of what to say about that. You don't need to be like, all of us pass through that process. Okay. We did a course on entrepreneurship, on economics development. You can do a course for 2 weeks and be an economist. Yeah. It's Nigeria here, people intend want to continue to learn over acquire some skills or knowledge, as the case may be.
Or paper certification.
Yes, even my little boy in pre-KG is aware that based on the elementary economy and information they have gathered over the years, they is aware that investors will not be so happy to invest because of that 3 office attached to one particular person. Okay. Because driving the process, there's going to be a conflict of interest. And on the strength of that. Okay, so that's also bringing us to the narrative of the Ministry of Works, Housing and Power. So it's like that hasn't changed. Nothing really in that direction. In the area of that. I am very yes. If you, although some persons have also argued in terms of the age, you know, my brother and my friend was looking at the age. You know, I was smiling when he mentioned about the age of those who are there.
If age has to do with
yeah, to me, it's a natural instinct. You probably want to work with people of the same kind in terms of age. You understand me? And what is that show to me is that that's the reason why he go for the man from Edo State who is representing us in Edo State is about 74. And there's nothing wrong about that because it's natural. I'm more free when I'm talking with my mates, you know, and there are words I can use for my way. And when we are discussing, there's a sense of purpose. But when you are working with people below that standard, you also know how to adjust. You know, to me, I don't have any problem by terms of the age, but my concern is about capacity. It's about competency, it's about character to deliver. Okay. You know, when all these factors are available, it does not really matter who and who. Because even in our local environment, in terms of managing and securing community life, we have Odionwe who preside over a community. At times, some Odionwes are more than 100 years. You see there driving the process of that community, coming out with a workable direction for the community. And that have never been an issue within our Africa setting. Okay. Therefore, I don't believe the issue of age has anything to do. As far as you have that capacity to deliver, and the president considers that you operate on the same path, then you can also get a job. Okay. You can work closely with the president.
Thank you for that.
If I want to be more political, you also agree with me that this second tenure is also an opportunity to settle boys. And there is nothing wrong about it.
Okay, thank you. We are standing frontiers on that. Like when you said it, my mind was playing with some variables in my head. Yeah. And that is exactly what I'm asking you, Dr. Patrick, because he just nailed it, but I want your bite on this. Does age have anything to do with capacity to perform in governance?
Thank you very much. He had said clearly that age, it's not really the issue in the real sense of it.
All right.
And it's your capacity. I remember Colonel Sander, the owner of Kentucky Fried Chicken, who had started his business after retiring as colonel at 67. At 67, he was broke. He didn't have anything. He was just picking and going around looking for how to market his ability to fry chicken. At 67, he had suffered a whole lot of calamity in his life. But along the line, but at 88, he was already a billionaire.
At the evening of his life, so or let's say night of his life.
What we're trying to say, that Kennedy was 35 and president, and Donald Trump is 70 as president. They all served. He served this time, and it's all about capacity and time. Obama had, it's true, it was 60. Okay. And another man is taking office at 70. So it doesn't have to do with the age.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that we should throw away youth age in governance.
Listen. I often say, nobody is going to, it's what nobody will give you what you deserve. It's what you demand. Our youths are not demanding. They're actually saying, we deserve. I'm a youth. I should be saying, well, I deserve to be president. If I want to be president of Nigeria, there are certain things I should be doing by now, or I would have done by now, with the kind of country we are in. So I'm trying to say, Not just being a young person, it's my turn, we are going to fight to claim this. No, let's see what you have been doing.
Okay, but some may also go contrary with what you just said, because it's not just about the youth not demanding, but the bandwagon effect, where you bring about some very gigantic parties that takes the order of the day.
Like I just said, these are factors that have militated against the growth of the country, as it were. Now, you as a person, we really don't need to be at the center to function. It's a gradual process. I understand what you're talking about. But we don't, like he said, I love the word he used. He said, despite in a pessimism, we must be optimistic. Despite the fact that the variables on ground does not favor an average young person, because you don't have the money to even get the, why will you
to
get
slug it out with a big time
you don't have it. But that does not stop you from being relevant in the little taxes you are given to do. We have had some couple of young people occupying offices, and I don't want to cast aspersion at anybody. We know what's happening in Kogi State. We don't want to go into all of that. When he came on board, we were shouting, wow, a young man, a youth. Another 27 years old boy had been appointed a commissioner now in one of the states, Oyo State, and that's phenomenal. Now, it's not just having to come in, and we are celebrating he's 27 years old. Odoma Egba was 28 years old when he was commissioner too, and we saw how he had led his life over time, and he had been so consistent in what he has been doing. So it's to have real leaders, and I think I don't blame our young people. It's also a situation that we have found ourselves in. When the enabling environment is not there, when you're unable to pay the necessary fee, the time you're supposed to be in classroom, you're thinking of how to feed. A whole lot of factors have militated against our young people, which I would blame it on leadership. And they have said everything rise and fall on the leader. So if the old men are the leaders, then we are to blame the old men, the older men who have been there, have not done it well or thought it wise to affect and impact on the young ones, as it were. So that has been the situation. So an average young man had to fend for himself. It's like living in the jungle. I'm sorry to use such harsh words. I'm not trying to cast aspersion. I love my country so much, but it's unfortunate that we have to go through the crucible. We have to fight so terribly to even come by, to get by the day. If I have to struggle that hard to eat, how long will I live to become someone? These are the issues that are really militating, and I feel for our young people. I feel for our young people because they go through so much. Nobody cares about them. We just talk about, go to school. Okay, I have been through school. I'm out of the university now. And go and be starting for a job. I fought my way into school. I got out of school. I'm now fighting my way into some kind of job. And okay, come and join politics. I want to be a politician now. You now run around and, because you don't have. I love what Isaiah Osifo said. I respect those words and I treasure them. He said, if you have what you are doing, nobody can push you right, left, and center. I took those words so dearly. And that's the truth. The average young man on the street today have nothing he's doing.
Okay.
So any man can just call him, do this, do that. And they are bound to get on. And that is the situation we have.
Thank you.
So we must look at this critically.
I think let's look at the aspect of the system. Now, apart from the fact that the ministers are on board and like the saying goes, they're already hitting the ground running, but we don't know the miles they've covered so far. But let's look at the cardinal objectives of the president, fighting insurgency, corruption, and of course the economy, having these three capsules. Do you see the system as being problematic, apart from that of the persons manning these ministerial positions?
Over time, the Nigerian states have built up stronger persons and weaker organizations.
Institutions.
The institutions in Nigeria are weaker than persons in Nigeria. Suffice to say that persons are stronger than institutions in this country. A situation where one man can sit somewhere and begin to direct head of agencies. The saga in Taraba is enough to cite an example where an institution came to curb crime. Another institution within the same system of government did not only intercept, but almost failed and, crumpled the entire system. And today, the lapses, the gap, and the blow given to that agency is yet to be recovered. Because the persons hit by that singular action were the tag team of that group. If you go, you find out that they were the people who were involved in hitting strong issues that has to do with crime in this country. But that's just to tell you how porous the system has become. So having built weaker systems over stronger persons, or stronger persons over a weak system over time, it is difficult. My brother mentioned something.
So in spite of these changes, in spite of the appointments.
I made a point just now.
Yes.
How can you correlate an EFCC suspect, for example, being a boss over an EFCC prosecutor in the same office, and that same government is campaigning on a change and fighting insurgents and corruption matter? Isn't it laughable? Isn't it cosmetic? But you see, he mentioned something quickly that I want to also highlight. You attributed the failures of the then Minister for Power, Housing and Works to the fact that he had a bogus ministry. We are making the same mistake when it comes to budget and planning, because it's even worse. You may not know, but I'll quickly mention it. That budget and planning is like the major ministry, housing the line ministries in every government, at the state, even at the federal, because all the donor agencies must clear from the budget ministry. Whether I call it UNICEF, you call it World Bank, they must, it's their house.
So it seems to be a pivot.
Yes. Then all the other ministries like the finance, health, education also come to rally around the budget ministry. Because they prepare the budgets. Because they are supposedly the ones knowing the workings and the workability of government when it comes to finance. The duty of the finance ministry is to look at what the budget ministry has collected from the other ministries and ensure that they are in tandem with what is available. But today we are marrying it. Isn't that in its way going to encourage corruption? Like we saw in the Power, Housing and Works ministry in the past. Even though people like us in the past also complained that it was wrong to have a lawyer manning a budget ministry. But of course, government may manage to succeed based on experience. And so if we must do it, we must do it right. Because when you talk about insurgency, you talk about economy. You cannot have an economy thriving where you have the budget and finance ministry modeled up. And you talk about insurgency. Without due respect to the presidency, when this government took over in 2015, insurgency was limited to the northeast and a little veering to the northwest. Okay, but about 3 to 4 local governments in the northwest. But today, insurgency is cutting across the length and breadth of the Nigerian state.
But don't forget, before the advent of this administration, there were some communities that were under the stronghold of the insurgents. And now, at the advent of this administration, these communities were liberated. Aren't you also taking note of that?
When a few days ago it was announced that Boko Haram has taken over another community in Borno. See, my brother, I recall a few days ago I watched a clip where Mr. President was cornered in Kano State during the 2015, prior to the 2015 elections, where he said, how can they talk about insurgents? Who is Boko Haram? You understand? They were just in less than 20 local governments. But let me tell you, what's insurgency? Is it not when people do guerrilla war and begin to make the country ungovernable? Can you say that the people in Benin City can sleep with their 2 eyes closed? And those in Yokoriomo, in the hills of the Kukuruku lands in the north, or those within Iyekogba houses are having it easy with those ravaging their farmlands in the names of herdsmen, or those passing through Lagos Road today being hijacked and kidnapped daily?
Oh, that is being taken care of because even the aspect you spoke about in Borno, the security is also taking care of that.
I am saying,
so we can't raise sentiments in this direction.
It's not sentiment. Yeah. I'm talking of facts. You see, we cannot say that security is at its best. We cannot say insurgency have been suppressed.
Okay, but don't forget, I asked you this very salient question.
Yes.
How do we make a paradigm shift? How do we involve a paradigm initiative?
Discussing it is part of making the paradigm back, because bringing to the clear and to define the facts that they need to saddle, they need to buckle up, they need to address the issues, they need to stop this cosmetic approach to issues.
Okay.
That you do not need to muddle up the finance ministry and the budget and planning. That you will need to bring the generals, the security agencies on the table of discourse. 2 years, let me tell you, how do you think that people will feel? Because even when our brother was there, he was doing almost same. We were grumbling and we were complaining that you cannot ask an individual to go buy a warship when you have the naval officers there or the Nigerian Navy whose responsibility is to do that. Today, well, in the name of trying to reach out to the non-English speaking hearers, you open a radio station, and later we are hearing you discussing settling with billions, a business group who's masquerading under one guise to create problems. So these are not the best way in tackling insurgents or tackling insecurity. We're talking about economy, we're talking about insecurity.
Yeah.
When you talk about moving forward is that it's not necessarily reading a riot act to your ministers. It's by letting you know, because the buck stops at the table of Mr. President in it all. It's by letting them know that doing the right thing at the right time and at the right place is the better way out. Because if you do the right thing at the wrong time, at the right place, it's a wrong thing. The right thing at the right time and at the wrong place is a wrong thing. So you must do the right thing at the right time and at the right place.
Okay.
So the Nigerian government, in terms of economic growth, in terms of economic development, in terms of insurgency, must wake up, must realize that they are dealing with the people, they are dealing with the nation, that the lives and property of these persons are worth it, and they must secure it. And in fact, if law enforcement officers or law enforcement agents are on duty, because let's come to look at it. Because when you say the Nigerian police is not at its best, sometimes you ask yourself, how well is the welfare of the Nigerian police, an average police officer, for instance? It's not the one you see on book, in black and white. What gets to them? When you tell me that an average officer is catered for, has a welfare package, and you deduct at source, whereas in the end, that average police officer is going to be responsible for his lanyard. He's going to be responsible for his whistle. He's going to be responsible for his boot. He's going to be responsible for his beret and his G-belt.
Okay, thank you.
And in the end, you expect him to put his belt, because when he dies in active service, he gets up to 2 years before his siblings.
Thank you, Solomon. Thank you, Solomon. You've articulated your points enough. Now, we are geared towards having prosperity in the nation again. And what's your take in this direction for the ministers?
You know, I believe that my position have always been that the book of lamentation was not written because of Nigeria. Because when I see we keep on lamenting over issue.
Can you go over that again?
I said the book of lamentation was not written because of Nigeria. We cannot continue to lament over it. It is good to set an agenda and also encourage them to also. And you also agree with me that those in position of leadership are also no stranger to us. These are what the society have thrown off. Then you not take your mind and know what is not the society. How do we even manage our family? You understand me? If any yam that will, I have a parable in my dialect that yam that will not be good for porridge will not also be good for pounding. No matter how you intend one to do it. What the society is throwing off now, what is our reward system? What is our belief? How do we, in terms of family value, the system, how do we not manage ourselves? These are the issues. We must go to the basics. We must look at how in even a very, how many people, how many family, how many husbands can conveniently ask their wife, how was the market today, without resorting to quarrel.
Okay, let's look at the social intervention programs of the government. Keen into that in the second
the social
term of the president.
Because
some will say that there are no social intervention programs.
Depend who is talking. Depend who is talking. Therefore, our definition, the definition of persons in this country is based on your affiliation now. And that also gives room to a test of communication. If you are deliberately blind to the system, you will never see what is good in it. Therefore, I keep on encouraging Nigeria not to give up about Nigeria.
Okay, but do we have social intervention programs at all?
Of course, there are social intervention. I'm not in government, but I have read in the pages of newspaper. I have watched in televisions where that's what they call it. Is it trader money or trade money?
The Empower Project.
These are some of those things people also enjoy. These are things that are coming from the Empower.
Okay, but criticizing it, some say that the government is not doing enough in that direction.
Because one,
looking at the minute number it captures.
No, because one, some of those policies, the government is always in a hurry to implement it without laying a solid foundation for it. If Nigerian government lays a solid foundation for this, it will be a natural process.
Are you also saying that the present government also is failing in that direction?
Not that they are failing, but because these have been the principles over the years.
So they're following suit.
You understand me? This is what is trending in our system of government and governor. Therefore, you just come, you open the paper, and you start without looking at the foundation. These are some of the issues, and that's the reason why there is high level of disconnection. People are now disconnected from the system. We don't no longer believe in the system, and people are now resorting to self-help, and that's the reason why crime is on the increase. These are social issues. When people are now resorting to self-help, what do you see? You see anarchy. You see crime at its peak. And that is what we are seeing now. It's a reflection of Nigeria's state. And the only way to curtail it, we must go back to the basis. Within the family unit, we must be able to set an agenda for ourselves. Communication within your family, we should be able, on the strength of that, then Nigeria will be a better place. We cannot stand and continue to tell government. Government can only do the physical restructuring. That's the reason why when the issue of restructuring will come, some of us never believe in that theory or principle of restructuring Nigeria. We were thinking that individual mindset needs to be restructured first. And avoid Nigeria. If you are a pastor now, look at the attitude. If you are a lawyer, look at the attitude. If you are a doctor, look at the attitude. If you are an activist, look at the attitude. All of us are gradually living what is acceptable. Because it's no longer there. Everybody is not navigating towards the fast lane. And that is not good for the society.
Okay, thank you. But
that is the reason why when we are talking about the younger generation, that they want to be position. Look at the younger generation.
Yes, I'm coming there. Yes, having this important demographic factor in Nigeria, which is looking at the youths, because the youths are taking a very huge crunch of the population of the country. And looking at this, intervention programs, like some will say, is key. But what is your comment or your, what do you feel about the present government leadership of Buhari in this drive to bring about intervention programs, basically to the youths?
Thank you very much. Obviously, there have been some indications in that direction, but I honestly believe that's not enough. And again, I want to ask a very rhetorical question. Do we really have a clear number of folks in this country? Have we really come to terms with that reality? We are just saying we're about 100 or rather 200 million or thereabout. But you see, when we have a problem staring us in the face and we are just paying lip service to it, I saw something very pathetic about the man whose building got destroyed the other day, collapsed building. I think a few days ago, I saw it, on ITV, I saw it, and I was wondering, a woman said she told him, look for somewhere to go to. This thing is not good. It didn't start that day. I know the economy is challenging, a whole lot of stuff. We always blame on the economy, whatever. This is about your life. If you know you cannot fix it, why not join up with your folks and sell it off? So as not to create danger. If not for God, he would have been dead. So it's the same approach. You see, as minute as that, we are looking at the society. We have children growing every other day and no feasible plan. Now you look at overseas, you see talent shows, you know, people who want to sing, the sporting folks, they want to go into sports. A lot of things that could take them, and they would, you know, every young person having so much energy to show. And that is what the government should begin to look at. Thank God for what the Edo State Governor has done with the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, and that's a beehive, and it's going to pull a whole lot of young people.
Yeah, the youths,
you know, getting into trainings, and then who knows, you could become a superstar just by, you know, being, you know, competent, or rather doing the needful in the area of sports. But if you take a look at the government that is saddled with this responsibility, you're talking of Empower. You pay me 30,000 or something like that at the end of the month. I go somewhere to just act as though I'm some teacher or some apprentice or something, and at the end I get money. You know, my mind is that, what comes to mind is that I'm being paid what is, you know, what is supposed to be. I'm just getting the patronage sum. But there's no productivity. I'm not doing anything. What am I doing? There should be some efforts for my part. A whole lot of them are political, you know, allies, you know, extended folks. You just say, man, I have 10 slots. I'm going to call some 10 persons within my political enclave, and then you bring some returns back to me as your political daddy and all of those stuff. And that is what it's all about. So I cannot consider that a way to go. We need to be very, very realistic in this approach.
Okay, but one thing is to have this intervention program going on, but another is for those who are participants to think the positive way, and not just to think of being an employee, but think the way of the employer. Don't you think that also could serve as an opportunity for them to act out?
I don't get that. You said that we should think the way...
In the Empower project,
yes,
we have various segments,
obviously,
that will also train people,
yes,
you know, to become employers.
Yes.
Now, are we not supposed to think the way of being employers of labor?
Absolutely.
Even while you are working for the government,
yes,
even though it's a patronage sum, but you are thinking the way of an employer.
Hold on a while. I get what you are trying to say. Now, yes, I should think that way.
Yes.
But I should be inspired to think that way. Are you not getting it? Now, if the governor or the president or whoever is in charge say, well, the first best... I remember some years ago, we were scrambling to come out first. There was this tag that if you come out between first and fifth, you're going to get this prize.
Yeah.
So we were all spoiled to work. But I came out sixth position, and I cried my life out because I missed the prize.
And if not that you were even spoiled, maybe you would have come out 15th.
Or you go 20, yeah, back of the class, you know. But
so that also helps.
So that it helps.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say,
yes,
in essence, as minute as that could be, how many times have we seen? We see reality shows. Some young women have gone nude in the television. Somebody said, I'm going to give you 50 million for that. Somebody, a best graduating student in Bruce Ali University, is all over social media, and somebody is giving him 10,000 naira for being the best graduating student. You can see our values and see what we prioritize. Somebody has gone nude and put some naked women dancing around town, and then you say, well, we are behind him. They are attacking him. What is unheard of in society? You see, and these are youths. And we keep talking about youth to come on board. Imagine that is the commissioner of entertainment. What will be happening? So we must begin to look at the realities on ground and begin to talk about these truths.
Okay.
And not as maybe governor. The government is doing its bit, but I honestly believe, I'm not a critic in that sense of trying to maliciously, you know, criticize the government of the day. I just believe that we all have our homes. We could run our businesses. If this office you are occupying is your personal enterprise, is that how you will run it? You know, Fashola has been Minister of Power. If he was the owner of power, so to say, the MD Power Nigeria Limited, so to say, is that how, the way he had run in previous time now, is that how he would have run the office? I don't think so. So somebody, you know, I think their remuneration should be tied to their productivity. If you're a minister because you could just travel and just make some, take the extra code and just be moving around and have so much benefit. If you are not performing, we shouldn't tie so much to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Patrick.
That's basically how I personally.
Thank you, Dr. Patrick. We've been doing justice to national prosperity with the key aim of looking at the task before the current ministers. But again, we look at the very important demographic segment of the Nigerian population, which is the youth. And we look at this rising number and the need for the government to key into bringing out programs that will encourage the youth to take after skill acquisition and also think the employer point of view. And just recently, we've been having this aspect about the Yahoo Plus, internet fraud and all that. And where 80 persons were indicted by the US government, and Nigeria was also indicted by the very fact that we had a huge number of persons who were suspected to have interacted with the platforms on internet to defraud some persons, and varying from the elderly, defrauding the elderly, defrauding those who seek for romantic relationship, and also large and small scale businesses, wooing them, convincing them to send money online. And this got to about 46 million US dollars. Looking at the number we have, Solomon Idiogbe, you are a civil society activist. Now, we seem to have a precarious situation in our hand. And the president acting on this, the presidency did say that they are going to evolve. The president is going to bring about orders to engage, executive orders to engage this challenge, and also spur the National Assembly to bring about laws to fight this aspect that would stop Nigerians on this line. What do you think about this? Do you see this as a right development for this precarious moment?
Philip, to talk clearly on that, you can only give what you have. You can't give what you don't have. To say we are making executive, there are laws already. Yeah, unless you just want to make a special law and make a special court. For how long have those fighting crime been crying for a special court for trial so as to expedite pace of getting justice and getting to also discourage those involved in criminality? So everything has its time anyway. For me, I see that as another story anyway. But in any case, it is not commendable at all.
Okay, then what is the way in order to discourage this practice?
The way forward, Nigeria government must wake up to the call. If Nigeria was good enough, well, every country has, it's not like the European nations or the United States is also free, because they have also robbed from us in a way and taken it there. When their companies were coming to Nigeria to steal our oil, when they are causing problems in different areas, the Arab nation and the African continent.
So this is a payback, is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that, but obviously there is what you call boomerangs, or no law of natural retribution. But having said that, it is also greed on their part. Because I took a swipe, or I watched very clearly the clip where the U.S. attorney was mentioning how a prince, then the one that went viral at a point, the Nigerian prince supposedly got money stashed here and they needed to move it to the U.S. What were you doing? Didn't you need to encourage him to invest the money in Nigeria, and you were helping to move it to the U.S. to do what? To develop U.S. and keep Nigeria as a third world country. But that's by the wayside. Way forward. Not that we're encouraging that our youth to continue to get in dirty businesses and dirty. It's totally condemnable. Totally. Well, if you also look at it, the Juventus group and all that was in the Forbes magazine and everywhere, and was like a way to go. Now it's becoming clearer that all that glitters is not gold. But the Nigerian government must wake up. Because he mentioned something quickly just now when he talked about a man who almost died in his building. That building did not just start cracking today like he mentioned. And he didn't mention quickly that The lady mentioned to him, not quite 5 minutes, the lady left, the building collapsed. And the man was still willing to stay there. He didn't have where to go. Perhaps. But you know, if that man dies, there will be canopies, there will be cows tied in the front. That's the value now. Paradigm shifts. The values have, you know, even in churches, while we're growing up, Philip, when you have 10 churches within the catchment area, 8, at least 8, will be preaching salvation message. And perhaps 2 or less than 2
we're trying to find a handle.
But today, within the catchment area, you have 10 churches. 9 will be preaching materialism that you call prosperity message. And then, only one, barely one, will be talking about salvation and repentance. It's same in the other denominations and in other faiths. Because today, only yesterday I was reading on social media what has become of the Islamic brothers in terms of being politicized by government. And that's the change. The values. While we were growing, Philip, our parents would call us and say, I don't have money. We don't have money in this family, but we have a name you must protect. But today, parents sell their houses to carry their children abroad. Parents go to schools to buy certificates for their children.
Values are changing.
The values have changed. And so government must wake up. How? Because over time, parents are struggling to build one house they are not able to complete. Government is owing salaries, you know, over time, and they are not being paid. You know, people are not putting in their best as a result. You know, at the end, the teacher needs to add another business. The worker needs to add another business to what she's doing. Whereas these are supposed to be done at retirement because he or she is saving for retirement, and it's not there. Systemic failure. The system has failed. And because it has failed, people are looking for big businesses, quick money, short way. Like my
you can't say the system has failed because we still have a government running, trying to make sure that the system is on course.
You know, we like to
if you say the system is failing, that could be tolerated. But for you to say it has failed, I think you should retract that.
The system is failing. That's how we like to paint it. But the obvious is that there's a failure already. Look at what I call it failing. There is a failure. Whether it's failed in the past or failing in the present or continue to fail is failing.
Okay, thank you.
So but Phyllis, see, that's where we also have the problem.
Yes.
We don't allow us to express it the way it is. We don't allow us call a spade. We like to call a spade a found tool.
But bad enough time doesn't wait. So we have a frame within time to work with it.
The time frame is Nigerian government must wake up, as Nigerian parents must also wake up.
Thank you. I was going there.
We must revalue our values.
Yes, I was going there. Now you have a way of setting a course for us to discuss on. I must say that you are a co-anchor on this. Now, he made mention of parental guidance, even the churches, you know, not playing the role that they used to play. I want your comments on that, Roy.
I think before I'll come straight, you know, you're talking about the crime rate in Nigeria, you know.
Yeah.
There are some of the way cybercrime. Even Nigeria as a country, we have been highly stigmatized. We like call it a stereotype now, that we will not believe that the way our government even position us is also an issue. Because the way we talk, Nigerians are corrupt, Nigerians are corrupt. You know, I'm not so comfortable with the adjectives we even use. In US government, they don't use that word. There are people they call lobbyists.
Okay. You mean they seem to hide it?
Yes. All this is there are language.
No, they call them, like they didn't call them corrupt people. They call them con artists.
You know, there are adjectives they use, and you also recall. I will be telling you biblically, as the population increases, crimes are bound to also increase. If you allow me, with your permission, to go biblical, when it was only Adam there was no case of any misdemeanor. But when Eve came,
a woman came
no, it's not
changed the narrative.
When Eve,
no, that's what I want to say. Because
when Eve came,
Eve is a woman.
The issue of disobedience was recorded. As if that was not enough. Then when it now came and Benin came, when it was only 4 persons on air, the case of murder.
As the number increases, crime increases.
Continually. These are sociological terms. You know, therefore, all these things you are saying in Nigeria and the world, these are not things that are new. We are only responding to the multiple nature of the society in terms of population growth. These are things, it's not even peculiar to only Nigeria. And the way we keep on talking about Nigerians, we are corrupt. The government of the only way they can deceive us is we fight corruption. We are corrupt. Okay. I'm not comfortable with all those. In all parts of the world, there are deviants.
Absolutely.
In society, there are deviants.
It's a global trend.
It's a global trend. But for you not sit down to be what, and then when I look at the issue that happened in the US, when I see the man was saying these are Nigerians and all those things, and I say, you don't know what you are saying. I expect the Nigerian government to also reply them that, how come you are telling us that these are Nigerians? These are persons who are also, who you, for long, you have even citizenship. If they are doing well, you say they are your people. But when they are not doing well, you not say they are Nigerian. Our government should be able to also to correct that impression. Because you look at those who are doing well, the Nigerians that are doing well there, and you see the way they will tell you, these are black Americans. These are black Americans. They will be celebrated. But when it's not even, they will not trace you to your root and start telling you that it's in Nigeria. The Nigerian government must also quickly, as a diplomatic issue, relate to any parts of the world that be treating these people as people who are your citizens, not as a Nigeria. And because our system here, those who preside over our in terms of leadership, the only language they speak to us, they will say we are corrupt, we fight corruption, we keep on believing as if corruption is not the issue. And I have told people that if I'm opportune to be government presiding over Nigeria, I will not make fighting corruption as an agenda. Because one, it's not even an issue as far as I'm concerned. The primary way you can address this issue is, one, the government must be very determined. One, you set an agenda for yourself. If you pay salary as I told you, there are social incentives you give to people. The road is motorable. And why will people want to be government? Is it not because the government have failed? Okay, some of us are not government on ourselves. The only thing we got water for ourselves, we power our house by ourselves. Now we have reduced the system of government to be very low. The only thing we require from government is to tie only road. Yet they cannot tie it. And the very just now, you now see one of the best in government, and those in position are not telling us what's the pay salary is an achievement. Okay. You see that somebody tells you, yes, Nigeria have deteriorated to that level. That after paying a salary is an achievement. You see somebody who is presiding over a state country telling you, I'll pay salary as I told you. And people will be, I will begin to imagine, where are we heading to? Taking rights up. Yes. You know, we have reduced all this system, but what do we need from government today now? We are only begging them, just give us light. And that's the reason why Nigeria cannot get it right until we have a stable power system. Okay, when we don't have a power system, the issue of youth empowerment will be a mirage. The issue of even governance society to be well positioned will also be a mere mirage. Because what makes for society to work is the life. The China economy, 20 years, 30 years ago, look at the nature of economy of China. The government said, no, we can't continue. Let's stabilize our licensing system. That they were able to achieve. What is happening in the US economy now? The Nigeria economy is powered by generator. You cannot power an economy by generator and expect a result. It's not done. It has never happened. I've done a research on that. There's no country in the world you power economy with generator and expect results. And it cannot happen in Nigeria. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's look at this other way, because it's important to say that this demographic segment, the youths, yes, form a very huge part. Mm-hmm. Now, this aspect of internet fraudsters, they seem to be tech savvy. They seem to be smart. Now, can't we have a Western education where it's modified in our curriculum to also fit into our value system, and to also make this smart, tech-savvy guys to appreciate the aspect of online businesses that are legit, and also the aspect of developing apps? I want your comments in that direction.
Thank you very much. I'm proud to be a Nigerian at every time, and You know, Nigerians are exceptionally smart people. Reverend Chris Okotie, many years ago, showed up in the US and they walked into a shop and he spoke with a lady. And the lady said, sorry, sir, are you a Nigerian? He said, oh, yes, I am. What I'm trying to say is this. They talk Nigerians are fraudsters, internet fraud, and all whatnot. It's all stories that are not in real sense of it. I will take you back to 1945 during the World War, you know. What happened after the war? There was a United Nations and there was this espionage activities, spying out on various governments. Who were those championing that? The folks that were doing it were those, the Americans and the Russians. So they were doing it, sending espionage. At times you catch them, you kill them, you jail them, you do a whole lot of it. They were spying out themselves. Even the last presidential election in the United States, there were issues. They said, you know, they sent hackers from Russia to do that for them, to hack in and manipulate. So these have been ongoing. ISIS is doing hell over there, killing people. You're talking about Nigerians have involved themselves in internet frauds and all whatnot, like they have said. Now, these guys...
And the image is tarnishing.
It's not tarnishing.
The relationship we're going to be having with the U.S. government, for instance.
It's just an allegation.
The negative
They have not been
outcome.
convicted by any court yet. I only heard they have been arrested and all whatnot. I'm a lawyer. They have not been convicted.
Okay.
We have not gotten the facts of the case. You can wake up one morning and pick somebody and arrest him. You allege him because he's Nigeria or whatever, because there's a general belief the average Nigerian is a criminal. Even when I was in South Africa some time ago, I remember the packer man that took me was in Nigeria, plenty money. They marry our women, and that is the sense of the xenophobia attack and all this stuff we talk about. That we have a pocket of persons misbehaving.
But we can't sweep those allegations under the carpet.
We are not talking allegations that have, it should be subject to justice. It should be subject to be convicted yet. So you cannot, we are not talking allegation, you're just, it's mere allegation. I can call you names for goodness sake.
Okay, but presently the EFCC is setting a red alert on its officers to clamp down on suspected internet fraud.
They have been clamping down since I was a child. You know, they have been clamping down. Before I was born, the Nigerians have been clamping down on things. That's not the issue now. They are free to clamp down on anything. DSS, in short, that you call, in short, Nigerians should be clamping down on everything. But what I'm saying now is this: if you are clamping down, you must subject it to courts. You must arrest them, you must investigate them, you must try them, and let the court give a verdict. So we cannot say this is what, because it's coming from America, so they can't lie there. Is that what you're telling me? That somebody could not be used? Oh, you remember the other time there was a man, even the Halibut scandal, were Americans not involved? The Panama paper, don't you see many of them in there? So why are we making it look like the corruption or cybercrime is synonymous to Nigerians?
Okay, but does that negate the fact that we have features of that in our country?
When you say features, I disagree with you. We don't have features of it. We have a handful, a pocket of young folks that are running around the streets. You are not a fraudster, for goodness sake. We have a lot of people all around this country. We are doing very well, and we are facing our businesses. So nobody should label us that we are criminals, as it were. Okay. I disagree, and then I don't say we have. It's not a feature, sir. I take exception. That is where we shout. I take exception to it.
Okay, let's look at the relationship. Let's look at the relations between Nigeria and US. What do you think could come out from this?
And Nigeria is a nation on its own, to the best of my knowledge. The president of my country is President Muhammadu Buhari. I don't have business with Donald J. Trump. He's the president of the United States of America. Donald Trump is not coming to feed me. I'm eating my yam here in Nigeria. I don't go out of Nigeria to eat yam. So I live in my country. I'm okay with my country. If my country is having challenges, we are going to work hard. In short, it's for me to work harder. They are not as intelligent as we are here.
Thank you.
And that is my own take.
Thank you.
Hold on, sir. I will quickly say something.
Thank you. That's much.
You said the relationship.
Yes, in 10 seconds.
If the relationship is strained, let it be strained, then we would look inward and do better.
Thank you. In 10 seconds, your final words. Solomon Ijogbe.
Well, in general, on the issue of cybercrime, Nigerian government should wake up. When you talk about clamping down, clamp down not with insecticide or some and perfume and others. Because if you even see the justice system in America, before they went arrest him, the U.S. attorney made it clear that they went to seek a court order.
Thank you.
For arrest.
Thank you.
So Nigerian system must wake up. We must build stronger institutions against building stronger persons.
Royal Babo.
To me, there are deviants in the society.
Everywhere,
It is not
all over the world.
It's not peculiar to Nigeria. Therefore, I am not comfortable when people continue to say we are corrupt people. Yours sincerely is in Nigeria is not a correct person. And Nigeria's government must also look for a proper adjective to address us.
Thank you, Royal Babo, and of course, Dr. Patrick.
My
and
position is
Solomon
clear, like I've said.
So we'll call it a wrap on the discussion, and TMI continues. Stay tuned.